Welcome back everybody to Jon David's Journey. It is April 6th, 2025. Today, Jon David had his first cry in 6 weeks. Hunter got to have his first hold, and we got to say bye-bye to the ventilator, and you'll be able to see all that in the clips at the end of this. So let's go ahead and get into the update. Jon David is still weaning off of his medications. He is on Q12 for his narcotics and sedatives, so every 12 hours they bump down and wean him a little bit more. He is weaning on his Milrinone. He came off of his Epi completely, which he's been on Epi since he was born, so we are very happy that it's one less drug on his IV tree, and it means that his heart is strong enough to be beating on its own. They also weaned quite a lot on his diuretics, which are what make you pee, which is what he needed a lot of when he was having the pulmonary or the lung problems. And so they have held his diarrheals completely. He has not had one in over 24 hours, which he was getting them every 12 hours. And then also they lowered and weaned off his BMX, which is a diuretic. Again, he is peeing a lot more so it just seems like he's responding better, so they're being able to come down on some of those drugs. Now, the big news, he came off of BiPAP today, and his vent is completely gone. He has no ventilation, no ventilator help whatsoever. He does have high-flow oxygen, so he's getting high-flow oxygen at 8 liters per hour, and tonight the plan is to wean him down to 6. Once he gets down to 2, he can go to low flow. But high flow is just what it sounds like, high-flow oxygen being pushed into the nasal cannulas that are right here at his nose. Now, yesterday, Hunter was not able to touch or hold Jon David because Jon David was agitated with the BiPAP and also kind of going through withdrawals, and so we weren't really able to let him hold him, which Hunter had the best response to that, which was we told him that he couldn't hold him, and he looked at me with the most serious face. He goes, "I'll calm him down, Daddy," and just patted, which made me really want to let him go over there and touch him, but he was so agitated we did not. So he just told him bye-bye from afar last night and left, which it was very fitting that today he was able to hold him for the first time. So that was super awesome. Mallory and Hunter were sitting in the chair. I was behind it, and so it was very, very great to be able to see Hunter get to hold his brother for the first time. Also, with Jon David being extubated, we were able to hear his first cries since he was born. I had heard one cry when he was born. Mallory really didn't hear it. She was sedated with the C-section, and so she wasn't really in a state to remember that. Neither of us have heard him cry since then until today. So today he has been crying, which we never really, as newborn parents, most people are like, "Oh, I don't want my baby to cry." We're very grateful for that, which ties in with the devotion that I had today. And it was being very grateful for the blessings that we get for every day that a lot of times we tend to overlook. We tend to focus on the negatives. That's something that most parents, take for granted. It's one that we took for granted when we had Hunter, but it is one that we now very much appreciate and are thankful for, and it's an everyday blessing, along with things like holding him, changing him, things that would happen with your typical newborn that we really haven't been able to experience with Jon David. Also, we told Hunter bye-bye today until Friday when he'll come back and see us, so he's going to get back into his normal routine this week at daycare. That's pretty much it for tonight. Hope y'all have a good night, and God bless, and enjoy the clips. Hey, one last thing that I forgot to add in the video, and I realized it when I was editing, was that I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for praying. One of the things that we were expecting when he came off the ventilator was that his sats were going to go down. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people were kind of antsy about doing it, was because when he was borderline on his saturation goals, they wanted to make sure he stayed above 70. The goal was really 75 to 85, but making sure he at least stayed above 70, and he was staying between 71 and 73, and so they were worried that taking him off the ventilator would make him go down. He actually did the opposite. So when they took him off the ventilator, he went up and has been staying between 75 and 80 throughout the day. And so that is not normal. That doesn't happen typically, and they had to brainstorm a lot to try and figure out why. They're thinking that it's because of the positive pressure on the ventilator was somehow changing the flow of his blood, and that's part of what it was. I think for those of you who watched the testimony that I did with him, talking about God working in those gray areas in that chance space, I think this is one of those where it's a miracle he's working in that chance space, and he has heard our prayers, and Jon David has worked out with that, with his sats going up. So again, just wanted to say thank you to everybody for praying, and that we are celebrating this little miracle of him coming off the ventilator and his sats going in a different direction than what they were expecting it to. So yeah, have a good night.
job.
Well, where's the big tag, Peter? You have to save him. What do you mean? What do you want, Jon David? He wants the TV on. He wants the TV on.
There you go. Hey.
Got enough oxygen under my. Here we are. What's that?
There you go. Oh my goodness.
Oh, say hi, brother.
Hey.
And Jon David, tell everybody bye-bye.